Hey, what's up, guys? Jason Dutch here with Voice from the Underground, the podcast where politics and pop culture collide. Go bang. Hey, it is a couple days before Thanksgiving. It's Monday. Just wanted to jump on real quick and give a few thoughts on some stuff that's going on here in the news. Um, so, I guess I'll just jump right into it. Well, actually, before I do that, real quick, if you're watching on Twitch, welcome. If you're watching on Facebook Live, welcome. Periscope, and of course, YouTube. If you're not listening on YouTube or Twitch, definitely find us on those channels because those channels, the subscriptions help us a lot. Where Facebook and Periscope don't necessarily do anything for the podcast, but they're great for reach. You can find the YouTube channel at youtube.com/voice from the underground podcast. That's youtube.com/voice from the underground podcast. And then Twitch, I believe, is twitch.com/VFU podcast. But I'm not a Twitcher. I don't do a lot of twitching. So Mikey would probably know better than that. If he pops in, he'll show the link there. But I'm sure you can go to Twitch and search for us. So here's what I want to talk about today. First of all, I want to talk about, I'm going to lead into this by talking about something that happened to my daughter a couple days ago. So day before yesterday at night, my daughter went over to her friend's house, and my daughter is biracial. She is half African American, half white. And I know for a fact that there's been a couple of people of her friend's parents specifically, because she's told me, hey, my friend, I was at my friend's house, and I had to go home, and my friend apologized later, saying my mom was saying racist stuff, this sort of thing. And those type of people, they are what they are, right? They're scumbags. So the kids are apologizing for their parents because the parents, feel that they don't want to have this N-word in their house. So, and my daughter's excruciatingly light skinned. So, she's barely even noticeably black. And she still has to deal with this shit. So, but then it happens in some covert ways. And the other day, she has a friend who's been to our house. The mother's been to our house, came to our house looking for her daughter once because she didn't know where her daughter was at. The daughter's a sweet girl, real sweet kid. She's been here. I like her. She's a Hispanic girl, just a real doll. And, she's always been welcome at her house. And my daughter has been in her house. So apparently they got into some trouble together. And, there's multiple kids involved as usual with teenagers, right? My daughter's 14. So I can't even tell you the shit I used to do at 14. But so then she's crying in her room, and my wife's like, "What are you crying for?" And she's like, Cassandra said that, I didn't mean to say her name, but oh well, too late now. So this girl said that her mom says she doesn't trust you, and you're not allowed at the house anymore. So immediately, unfortunately, right away, I start thinking, yeah, it's probably because, of course, they're not going to trust her because she's the black kid. And then my daughter said something a few minutes later, like, because obviously we're not going to just say, oh, well, yeah, of course it's because you're black. You got into trouble with this little girl. You have to be accountable for what you did. What they did is they got into a car with some boy, and the boy was driving them around town, apparently to Target in some places. And, they weren't supposed to do that. Both girls got grounded. We as the parents did this astonishing thing and actually communicated with each other. And we're like, hey, our daughter's in trouble. She said, yeah, our daughter's in trouble. I don't know what happened with this other kid who was with him. And then this boy. But, and then days later, she says she's not allowed over there anymore. So now, there could be something else that happened. There should be information that I don't know. But I still had the thought go through my head that, yeah, I probably know why it is. So, I sat there and I'm like holding this in, and my wife and I we're obviously counseling her and telling her, hey, you know what, you did something wrong. You got to deal with the repercussions of that. Just try to be a good parent, right? So, people say, oh, you made mistakes, such. Yeah, I made a shit ton, but I want my kids to be better than me, not worse. You can do better than I did. Don't do the stupid shit that I did when I was your age. But I still couldn't help but think of this. And so my daughter said, I think it's because I'm black. And my wife was like, oh, you can't always say that. And I'm like, look, you're right. She's right. You can't always say that. But I guarantee you it's an issue, because this is too often now that out of a group of kids that gets in trouble, that it's my kid who admittedly has her issues as a 14-year-old, but it's my kid who they say, well, we don't want you to hang out with them. So what I'm trying to describe to her is, look, there are going to be people who they may not hate black people. They may not think black people are, lesser or whatever, but without hate, because again, I say all the time, hate is not a necessary ingredient for racism. Hate is not a necessary ingredient for bigotry. Hate is not a necessary ingredient for bias. You don't have to hate sweet potato pie because you say pumpkin pie tastes better, or vice versa. It doesn't mean I won't eat both, but I strongly prefer pumpkin pie. Okay. I don't hate sweet potato pie. It tastes fine, but I'm biased. I like pumpkin pie better. And I can own that bias. It's not an important bias. But when I look at these situations and I say, look, this is like an umpteenth time that this has happened. Of course, I'm telling my wife, of course we have to look at this as an issue. I'm sorry that we have to look at this as an issue. And my wife will come back to me and she'll say, no, well, we're giving her excuses. We're letting her blame things on race. No, I'm sorry. By saying something is true, you're not doing that. If something is true, it's true. I could have sworn facts don't care about your feelings. I was convinced of that being an accuracy in life. I was convinced of it. But apparently they only care about your feelings when it matters, right? Like we look at the election. Facts don't care about your feelings. Biden won the vote, but apparently they do care about your feelings because you don't want to tell the president that Fox News says something bad about you, because you'll hurt his snowflake feelings. So what we're looking at here is I came to my daughter and I said to her, look, I said, you got to be like the most pristine one of all your friends, because whenever anything goes wrong, there's going to be a tendency for a lot of those times for you to be the one who gets the finger pointed at you. You're going to be the one that gets arrested by the police. You're going to be the one that the parents tell not to come over. You're going to be the one who gets arrested with all the rest of the kids, and they all get probation, and maybe you don't. Okay, I'm sorry that this is true. I'm sorry it's true. It sucks it's true, but it's true. It's true. It's true. Stop telling me it's not true. Stop telling me that these things are inaccurate. And then stop saying, well, there's nothing you can do about it. Yes, there is. You can. You say, fuck you. You fight. You stop it. You call it out when you see it. I'm tired of this bullshit. Okay? Race is not an excuse, but that doesn't mean that it is not a factor. Okay? You can't just discount it completely. And that would go for, like she said to me, oh, well, what should we just do? Move to a black neighborhood? Of course not, because guess what? Black people have biases too. You think that, I'm sure that black people are watching this right now across all the channels I'm on. You're going to sit there and tell me that the black community doesn't have its own issue internally, especially when it comes to mixed race and light-skinned people versus darker skinned people? Of course it is. Of course it does. Anyone with a sense of credibility will tell you that that's true. It doesn't mean it's good. So then you're just going into a new problem. You don't run from your problems. You don't skate out of a neighborhood because it changes. You deal with life. Now, we'll see if my parenting skills were right or wrong. But what's this come into? Perception of guilt, perception of being a problem. We perceive things to be threatening and a problem if that's what we perceive. Could be clothing, could be an accent, could be a religion, it could be whatever, right? It could be that people just don't distrust people in hoodies. regardless of their race. Maybe that's true. But it's perception of possible threat. And Kyle Rittenhouse is the polar opposite of this. Kyle Rittenhouse, unlike my daughter, despite the fact that he went, listen to this for a second. This kid who beat up a girl a week before, literally with his fist punching a girl on video camera, decides to buy a gun with his unemployment stimulus check. Oh, so I guess that's a responsible purchase for a 17-year-old. Gets in his car with his boys, drives a fucking hour and a half or so from Northern Illinois to Kenosha to protect a business that he has nothing to do with. Nothing. I know plenty of people that own businesses. I'm not driving there to defend their business. Thank God the business is okay. But this comes into play twice here. Once, what did Kyle Rittenhouse perceive as a threat? People supporting Black Lives Matter, regardless of their race. They must be Antifa. They must be terrorists because they're associating with BLM, which of course is the terrorist arm of Antifa. Right? It's just garbage. It's just lunacy. And then, so he perceives these people as a threat and shoots from 30 feet away for throwing a jewel bag at him, or Albertson's bag, depending on where you're at in the country. Kroger, okay, Sweet Bay, wherever you're at. I don't know what your grocery store is, but you throw a grocery store bag at him, and oh, you're a fucking threat. Boom, 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 firing from behind a pickup truck 30 feet away. And then you shoot two more people. Because God forbid they actually saw an active shooter and chased you. Holy shit, really? You know what that reminds me of? Remember 9/11, Let's Roll on United Flight 93? Remember that? Remember when the terrorists took over Flight 93 and the heroes on that airplane said, "Let's roll." And they went and took out the terrorists. So I don't know about this first guy, but the second two people he shot were trying to take out an active shooter. They're fucking every bit as heroic as the person who led that charge on 9/11. You cannot differentiate between the two. And if you do, you're dishonest. Aaron Crute, that fucktard said he might have been killed if he didn't have the gun. The fact is, if he didn't have the gun, nobody would have given him a second thought and nobody would have been killed. That's probably very true. Why can me and Aaron Crute, two bozos, sorry, Aaron, but we're just two bozos online. Why can we see that? But Trump and all these fucking assholes can't see it. So then they look at him and they say, well, he's not a threat. He's just a good white, sweet kid, sweet doll of a kid. God, he's just such a sweetie. So that he has to go, get bailed out of jail because he's a patriot, because he's a hero, because of whatever the fuck it is. Because he fought back against this Antifa and Black Lives Matter you see as evil terrorist organizations that are run by lesbian witches. You think I'm joking when I say lesbian witches? I'm not. They actually believe that. I've said that before. Sorry if it's repetitive to some people. But he gets bailed out, right? 2 million, you took the right, $2 million bail by fucking Ricky Schroeder. Silver spoons, right? Silver spoons together. You and I together. We're gonna find our way, Kyle Rittenhouse. You and I, Kyle Rittenhouse, together. We're taking the time each day. Gonna learn all about how the election was stolen from Trump. Silver spoons and Rittenhouse. Yeah, I can't sing, but it sounded fun. Ricky Schroeder and one of my all-time favorite recovering drug addicts, the My Pillow guy. This guy who's never said anything disparaging about people who are homosexuals. And let's think about this. The My Pillow guy always talks about how he employs minorities and everything's American made. So isn't it funny that people say, well, Kaepernick, you can't bring politics into the workplace. We don't want to tune into the game to see you kneel. We don't want to do that. If I did that at work, I'd be fired. So you're going to let this guy, because he owns the company, bring politics into his workplace. Essentially, you say, oh, but Dutch, he's not at work. He's doing this on his own time. It doesn't matter. Guess what? Colin Kaepernick was on his own time too, because the fucking game didn't start yet. And then he does it after the game and during interviews, and you still tell him that he hates America. Oh, protest peacefully. Oh, they did that, and you called them un-American because you're a fucking hypocrite. We know you're a hypocrite because of what happened with RGB compared to what happened with Merrick Garland. We know you're a hypocrite because of what's happening with this election and seeing that you don't care. You don't care if they get faithless electors. You don't care. So the My Pillow guy who rides this thing on anti-abort, because of course we can steal the election because we're doing it to save babies. So it's okay because we're doing it to save the innocent unborn. Bullshit. You're lying. That's why the Republican Party is never going to overturn abortion because it's a wedge issue. If they overturn it, they have nothing else to rally their troops about. They're never going to do it. They're fucking lying to you, Republicans. And for that matter, the Democrats are lying too. The Democrats are being so weak right now, just astonishingly weak. It's fucking Republicans who are out there saying, wait, what's going on with this not conceding, not helping with transition, not doing anything that Trump's supposed to do. He's still fighting there in court. A federalist judge laughs him out of court and says, get out of my courtroom. You have no evidence. It's Republicans who are actually being stronger than Democrats. Where are the Democrats? Where are the Democrats? Where's Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi? Where are they? Where's even AOC for that matter? Where's Ilhan Omar? You're doing nothing. You're weak. And they need to vote all of you fucking enablers out. Good fucking Christ. So the My Pillow guy, sorry as I digress, imagine how many black people he has working there that have to sit there and say, look, my fucking boss just put up, I don't know how much of the 2 million him and fucking Ricky Schroeder put up each. I don't know. Let's say that it was 50-50. So, and I'm sure that they got donors to help with this because Rittenhouse had raised a lot of money already. Because of course they want to get him out of jail because he's perceived as being non-threatening. So, all these black people who work for My Pillow, what are they thinking right now? These Hispanics too, lesbians, gays, if he even hires them. Man, the owner of my business thinks so little of the cause of my equality that he went and bailed a guy out of jail who killed people who were standing for my cause. Just so it sinks in, let me say that again. The My Pillow guy thinks so much about his black employees and Latino employees and gay employees, which I doubt he has, that he spent $1 million to bail a kid who broke the law by owning a weapon underage across state lines, drove to a business he had nothing to do with, got scared and shot people, and killed people who were out there protesting for civil rights. Yeah, you know what? Maybe they looked scary because they had burning paper bags. But your guys walk out there burning tiki torches and you think, oh, of course, they're not really actually going to start a fight. It's just astonishing. That's how little he thinks of his people. He bailed this kid out of jail. You think if this kid were any other skin color, actually, you know what? Let's go beyond skin color. You think that if this kid was a Black Lives Matter supporter, that anyone would have bailed him out of jail? Anyone? Alyssa Milano? Joy Reid? No? Scarlett Johansson? No? Nobody. I don't see anybody bailing people out of jail. Kevin Hart, you bailing people out of jail? You know, this is why Republicans always win, because they actually fight with each other. For each other. Democrats, liberals don't do that shit. Don't do it. They're weak. Just astronomically weak. It's unbelievable. And then you have this this Chanel Rion, who is posting YouTube videos. I'm sure talking about. I see a bunch more people that's joined. You can feel free to start from the beginning if you want, or I just kind of got done talking about Kyle Rittenhouse. I'm going to talk about Dominion real quick. Chanel Rion is posting videos yesterday that said literally, and it's CHANEL space RION. That's the girl's name. She's a Trumper. She says, Dominion switched 6,000 votes in Michigan, fraudulently giving the election to Joe Biden. Last I checked, Biden won Michigan by what, 140,000 votes? And the 6,000 votes that you did catch, they got changed back to Trump because they made a mistake. And they said, made a mistake. Republican County. You know where the other big fuck up in this election was? In Georgia. Guess where? Republican County. Forgot to count 3,000 votes, 2,600 of which were for Trump. Republican County. You know what? You know how they found out about it? Hey, we fucked up. We forgot to count these votes. The investigations have uncovered nothing. Nothing. I think they uncovered 53 votes. Wow. We're spending, you guys are donating how much money to get 53 votes? You're as bad as Jill Stein. By the way, Jill Stein, don't think that I've forgotten about that $5 million that you raised to do a recount for Hillary Clinton under the guise of a Green Party campaign, or not a campaign, but a fundraiser. Don't think I've forgotten about you, Jill Stein. Where's the $5 million fucking dollars? Because I've never seen a report of anything that you did with it. So they're spreading this disinformation, and I got to tell you, I've said this over, I've said it again, and I'm sorry if you've heard this before, beating a dead horse. They're going to be okay with electors being put into place because this is all about casting doubt. Because Dominion is a Canadian company, but they call it Venezuelan, because facts don't matter. Again, I thought facts didn't care about our feelings. Wasn't that true like 2 weeks ago? Weren't facts all that mattered? If something's wrong with Dominion, great, go ahead and investigate it. Find what's wrong with it. I'm right behind you. Let's fix it. Let's get rid of voter fraud 100%. Let's get rid of irregularities 100%. But then you're going to go back and you say that you don't want to have votes that were counted in Pennsylvania after Election Day to count when people were told by the state of Pennsylvania that they could vote on Election Day and mail in their ballot on Election Day and it would still be counted and that they would still have their voice heard. Then you want to go back and retroactively say, no, guess what? Just kidding. Your voice actually isn't going to be heard now because it was the wrong voice. You had the wrong opinion. So we don't want to count your vote now. That is voter disenfranchisement. That is voter fraud. This is stealing an election. This is saying we don't give a fuck about the goddamn faithless electors coming in and changing votes from one person to another because we're saving babies, right? You're fucking hate this country. You hate America. You hate democracy. You hate this republic. All you care about is your fucking politics. Biden's JC. Oh, my boy, JC. What's up, JC? He's linked me to an article here that Michigan, a state where Biden leads to certify election results. I can't click on this while I'm ranting, but I will do it afterwards. JC Phillips, our resident ghost hunter, who we call upon because we're so clever every year on Halloween. Anyway, it's like I'm going to close off, but like here, look, these Trump supporters, I have in my family. I'm not going to go so far as to say these people are bad people. I know other people will. I'm not. Oh, here we go. Michigan's Board of Canvassers on Monday voted to certify the state's election results after weeks of attempts by President Trump to overturn his opponent's victory. The members voted in favor of certification and one abstained. Yeah, you know why the guy abstained? Look at this coward. All right, this coward who abstained. Why on earth would you abstain from that vote? Let me tell you why. Because it's not about this guy. He knows that if he doesn't abstain, he'll be voted out. And he wants to keep his position of power. If being on the board of canvassers is power, imagine what someone might do if they were in the White House. What would such an unethical person do if they were in the Oval Office? Oh, maybe what we're seeing right now. And because but the thing is, the Republicans did such a great job of setting the stage before this election that, and I hear on conservative radio all the time, they're talking about how Democrats are stronger. They're out of their fucking minds. Okay. Democrats are unbelievably inept across the board, especially at the DNC. Republicans are good with messaging. Democrats need a new marketing manager. You know, like defund the police that creates the perception that you don't want police forces. You don't want any security on your streets. They're stupid. That's just a horrible message because that's not even what defund the police is about. But people aren't going to look into it because it's like calling the title of your book How to Grill a Steak and having it be about rabbits. It's just the stupidest shit I've ever seen. You know, or better, How to Eat Fried Rabbits as the title of the book, and the book's about saving rabbits. I mean, it's the stupidest marketing team, messaging team of all time. But again, as I close off here, the Republicans are so good at messaging. Yeah, there are 460 people left waiting to make public comments. Of course there are. I mean, do you seriously think that some of these people will cast a vote for Joe Biden? Do you really believe that? Do you really believe that some of these hardcore Trump supporters, whether they want to become electors or whether they already are, do you actually believe that a lot of these people are going to vote for Joe Biden? Especially if there's no consequence. Now, there is consequence in a couple states. Pennsylvania has consequence. Michigan has no consequence. So if you think Joe Biden's going to get 306 electoral votes, I'd be astonished. Let's not forget, Hillary Clinton, you had people who voted for Trump or Gary Johnson or wrote in Bernie Sanders. Hillary Clinton lost 7 electoral votes in 2016. People forget about that. Trump lost, let me think of the number. It's a big round number, 0. Because the people on the left are honest. The people on the right don't care. And it didn't used to be that way. When I was a Republican, at least on the outside, it wasn't like that. It never used to be that way. Why did it change? Why is it that you care only about power? One more here again from JC. A way of gaining leverage over the GOP. Some of the corporate executives who signed the joint letter have also discussed withholding campaign donations from incumbents unless party leaders push for a transition to Biden. Well, good. Here's the funny thing. You're talking about GOC, the GOP and the corporate executives who signed the joint letter. So now you're telling me that corporate executives and the GOP are fighting more than the Democrats are. The Democrats are sitting back like, oh, it's fine. We won. It's fine. Let's have a smoke. Oh, smoke screen. Can't see what's happening. We'll win. No big deal. No big deal. We trust our Republican buddies. It's just astonishing. So, all right. Eric, both sides' narrative is crap. All these morons put themselves in the same situation. I'm more interested in Biden's cabinet selections. Well, hopefully he gets to have some because, like I said, and here's the thing, Eric, the narratives might be crap, but remember this. If the Democrats, if Biden had not conceded, imagine what Fox News and OANN and Newsmax and Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity and all these guys be talking about right now. They'd be talking about how un-American this is. Okay? They'd be talking about how we're trying to ruin the Constitution. See, we told you about these radical leftists. And if there was a conversation, now there was rumblings from Twitter users who were Democrats saying, hey, I hope the electors don't put Trump in. Well, because they knew he was a fucking bigot. So, I mean, I'm not going to say, oh my God, I can't believe that someone would not want a bigot in the White House. But so yeah, there were some rumblings from Twitter in 2016 about changing electoral votes. But of course, it didn't happen. The votes that were changed went away from Hillary, and crickets, not a word. Not a word. Not a word from the Democratic Party. Not a word from the Republican Party. Not a word. Nothing. And if they do take this, Eric, if they do take if they get 37 electors to switch their votes, because that's how many they would need. If they get 37 electors to switch their votes, or 36, and then it goes to the House, which believe me, the Democrats have the majority in the House, they'll lose because the rules are so archaic. And the Democrats are so weak, they'll lose. Trump will stay in office. Maybe, oh, Dutch, you're worried about nothing. No, I'm not, because the people around you, Eric, again, they will say it was just fine. They'll have no remorse. They won't care in the slightest because they did it for saving babies. Now, I detest abortion, but that's a transactional decision. You can't sign on to abortion and then sign off on everything else. You don't get to do that. You want something, it's a transaction. I give you money, you give me a taco. Okay? I have to get the taco back, whether or not I wanted it. Bad analogy. Okay, but whatever. You get the point. The point is that you can't say I'm not going to care. I don't care about immigration or cheating or being a hypocrite with SCOTUS or putting up with the name calling that is anti-biblical, or not having any humility which is anti-biblical, or not knowing. And I could literally sit on this podcast for 45 more minutes and tell you about Bible verses that fly in the face of Trump, his people, and his philosophy. But no one will care. None of them care. They'll think it's justified. It was fine. And it was because we knew the election was stolen. So patriotic Americans saved us from this far left, socialist, radical Marxist regime that is controlled by Black Lives Matter and Beyonce and George Soros. Give me a fucking break. Thanks, guys. Live stream this week is probably going to be Wednesday night because of Thanksgiving. So Hope you're having fun preparing for your holiday. And again, if you're not listening on YouTube, please, pretty please, do me a favor, go over to YouTube, search for Voice from the Underground, or type in youtube.com/Voice from the Underground podcast. Find us on Twitch, subscribe there, listen there, instead of Periscope or Facebook if you could, because frankly, we get a couple pennies from those places. And thank you. I appreciate you guys. If you want to go over to our website, you can do so. I will put that right there for 1 second before I log off. And if you want to go to our Patreon, there's the Patreon right there. It's patreon.com/VFU podcast. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening, and enjoy your holiday. God bless.